and talk about the fund. And then, as I said, I'll hand over to Catherine and to Sophie, who will talk in more detail about the high-level design elements of the competition. And then we've got a Q&A session at the end. So if you've got any questions, please drop those down in the chat. So moving on a slide. You'll be aware that last year Ofwat decided that it would make available £200 million to the water sector to facilitate innovation between 2020 and 2025. This year has seen us launch our first competition, the Innovation in Water Challenge, which went live in January, and we are finalising the successful projects for that at the moment. Our second competition is a much larger one, which we are calling the Water Breakthrough Challenge. This is going to be launched on the 6th of May, and we'll talk a little bit about timescales later on in the presentation. The main difference between these two competitions is the size of the prize that's available. The IWC saw us award projects up to 250k with a total pot of 2 million. And for the Breakthrough Challenge, we've got up to £40 million available. So there's a lot more on the table. We are still hoping to run another main competition, Breakthrough Challenge competition, and IWC before the end of this financial year. When I talk about this financial year, I mean starting April, sorry. And there'll be more details coming out about those as well. So we are continuing this delivery of competitions throughout the 5-year process. Just to recap, some of the things that we said for our Innovation in Water Challenge was that enablers of innovation remain really, really important to seeing the sector move forward in its capability and capacity to innovate. These remain fundamental for our Breakthrough Challenge competition as well. And so the fund does support initiatives that will demonstrate and further strengthen these enablers, which you can see on the slide. They include openness, adaptability, managing risk, scalability, and the ability to deploy innovations across the sector. Collaboration, working in partnerships remains really, really important. And then, of course, having a long-term view. We aren't just wanting to see things that are business as usual and are delivering on water companies' current commitments in this AMP cycle. So these are going to remain fundamental characteristics of the projects that we want to fund through the May competition. And you'll see some of these themes flow through the way in which our assessment criteria is designed. Just to recap on our 5 strategic themes, for this competition, we're keeping these fundamentally the same. We are equally interested in seeing projects across all 5 themes, whether that's meeting just one or more than one. We have talked in the past about narrowing down the competition to focus on one or a couple of themes. We're not doing that for the Breakthrough Challenge. We're open to projects across the 5 themes. So that's a really important design element. We are continuing to keep a watchful eye on the types of projects that we get through this competition. And that will be a guide for the way in which we design future breakthrough competitions. But for this one, all 5 are still on the table. We want and expect you to be considering projects that meet one or more of those themes. I'm now going to hand over to Catherine, who will talk through more of the high-level design elements of the challenge. Catherine.
Thank you very much, Rachel. As kind of Rachel alluded to earlier, the Water Breakthrough Challenge, we're very excited to be opening for entries on the 6th of May this year, and the first phase will last until the 3rd of June. It is an opportunity for you to win up to £10 million to support Kickstart, Grow and Scale initiatives that are innovative, going beyond business as usual innovation building partnerships from within and outside the water sector that really critically deliver a tangible benefit for customers, society and environment within the project period. So this is kind of one of the key ways that it's quite different in terms of we're looking for that real tangible benefit. And we'll actually come on through in a bit more detail looking at kind of the assessment criteria as well, what projects we're looking for. So we've got a kind of a two-stage entry period, and the real aim of this two-stage entry period is to ensure that we have invite projects with the best chance of receiving funding to kind of come through to that second stage and really make it as accessible as possible, and particularly for smaller companies. So the first stage of entry will open on the 6th of May, which will then open for 4 weeks until the 3rd of June. And so within this first phase, we will be really looking for how well entries meet the first two categories of our assessment criteria, which is positive impact for water customers, society and the environment, and innovation enablers and innovative solutions. We're going to be asking entrants, so you, to provide really clear descriptions of how your proposals meet the core elements of the assessment criteria. You won't be required to provide really detailed evidence at this stage, but we will also be seeking kind of really high level information on the third criteria of capacity, capability and commitment to deliver, particularly focusing in on total project costs and partnership arrangements as part of that kind of first screening stage. Following that screening stage, it will be assessed by a team of technical assessors from Arup. And then the most promising entries in a kind of really diverse portfolio following moderation will be invited to stage 2, which will open on the 28th of June 2021. This second stage will be 5 weeks with a really kind of detailed look and quite a lot longer entry forms required for the second stage. And really kind of the entries that we'll be inviting to that stage are the ones that we really do see really significant promise in terms of them, how likely they are to receive funding. It will be sort of much longer entry form you have to fill in that stage, which is why we've also got that slightly longer period. And that will close on the 30th of July 2021, then giving us kind of August and September to have a second stage of assessment, and again, a really detailed technical assessment in that second stage, followed by a judging period and a judging panel who will ultimately kind of review and recommend to Ofwat a set of entries to be awarded the £40 million. Ofwat will make the ultimate decision based on those recommendations from the judges. And then the winners will be announced at the end of September 2021. So following that kind of entry period, we do recognise that there's likely to be a mobilisation period. And so we expect the majority of those projects to start within 6 months of notifying people you've received funding. However, we do understand that especially complex projects may require a slightly longer mobilisation period. So just to kind of really reiterate what you can win, there is a £40 million prize fund for this round. We anticipate that we will aim to really disperse that £40 million, but do understand obviously that entries will be kind of very different ranges between £1 and £10 million. And so it will be very much kind of we're aiming for around that 40 million point. It might be slightly below or slightly above. You are welcome to bid for between £1 and £10 million per entry. And then we'll kind of come on to this kind of extra 10%. And the 10% would be on top of that, so in addition to the amount that you're requesting from the fund. Smaller value bids from small water companies and groups of small water companies, including NAVs, will be considered. So please do get in touch with us if you would like to bid for a small amount less than £1 million from this fund. I'm now going to hand over to Sophie to kind of go through in a bit more detail about the assessment criteria.
Great, thanks, Catherine. So these are the 3 high-level assessment criteria, which some of you might recognise as they align with the IWC. The first of which is the positive impact for consumer, society and the environment. The second, innovation enablers and innovative solutions. And the third is capacity and capability and commitment to deliver. Next slide, please. Great, thanks. So the first one of those is basically focused on what impacts and benefits will the project deliver to customers, especially to customer, society and the environment. So the first thing a strong project would show is alignment with the 5 Ofwat themes Rachel's just described. It will ensure that the project addresses a key need or opportunity for customer, society, and the environment, and that the project will deliver significant benefits and have a clear plan for delivering those benefits. The second one, awesome, is focused on what's novel about the proposed approach or solution, and how can it deliver a positive sector-wide innovation legacy. So strong projects would show how the project is innovative and goes beyond business as usual, both in terms of, I guess, what you propose to deliver and how you propose to deliver it, and how the project supports innovation enablers in the sector, how projects can be focused on testing new ideas, adapting ideas from the sector, or adopting proven ideas at scale. And we're also looking at how the project risks will be considered, as well as opportunities like learning and knowledge dissemination. And the final one, so this basically the capacity, capability, and commitment to deliver is our request that you show how the proposed entry is feasible and that there is appropriate resources and governance in place for its delivery. So that means that strong entries would show that the delivery plans are achievable and would show milestones and monitoring of progress. It'll also show how the team has appropriate skills and experience to deliver the project, as well as the partnership arrangements involved. And they will also provide a realistic cost breakdown, financial plans, risk, and contingency arrangements. Back to Catherine.
Fantastic, thank you very much, Sophie. So just in terms of kind of who can enter, so this is very similar to the previous Innovation and Water Challenge, in fact, that so any water company or including NAVs in England and Wales can enter, and so that's kind of be really clear. So water and water only companies, and then any partner that they choose to work with. So that can be kind of a group or consortia of partnerships. And very much it's kind of any organization can partner with a water company, and that includes, for example, local councils or water retailers can be kind of partners within that as well, in terms of who can enter. So just to kind of really clarify in terms of how to enter, so there will be an online entry form, and that will be available from the 6th of May 2021 at 9 AM. So there's a small typo on here, so that will be available at 9 AM on the 6th of May for a 4-week entry period until the 3rd of June at 12 noon. And that entry form will be kind of via an online entry materials. We will also provide a Word document, so you can kind of collaborate with any partners before submitting that online entry form. And we'll also be providing the entry questions to the second entry period on that day, on the 6th of May. You won't be able to submit those details, but we'll have a Word document for you to be able to start drafting or kind of have a deeper understanding of what to expect in terms of the questions if you are invited around to the second round. So the second round, if you are invited to that round, will open on the 28th of June, where we'll ask you those extra questions, and you'll have 5 weeks to work on that second round entry. Please, the link to the entry form will be available on this link, which is kind of waterinnovation.transit.org/breakthrough/get-involved. But please do note that that is not available and will not be available until the 6th of May at 9 AM. So we also want to kind of highlight a couple of requirements that will be in place for successful entries. These will be reflected in the terms and conditions, which all should be published on the 6th of May. But just to kind of be really aware, there will be some requirements regarding the use of funding, how you use the funds, and making sure that this is recognised as customer money, and therefore it should kind of show exceptional value for money, and that you should use the money in line with the proposals that you've put forward. It will include some more details around the 10% financial contribution. We have also kind of in relation to some feedback we've been receiving about how it's not very clear around how the 10% should be formed, included a lot more details in the information we published last week. Would also welcome any questions on that. It will include things about the monitoring and reporting requirements in terms of kind of monitoring the projects that you've put through, intellectual property rights, We haven't changed the position from intellectual property rights from the round of the Innovation in Water Challenge, but please do again let us know if you do have any questions or concerns around intellectual property. It will also include about publicity, and that's particularly around publicity for winners and how we want to make sure that we're kind of promoting and sharing the excellence of the winners that come through. Conflicts of interest, if you do kind of have any multiple projects, and also then the kind of settlement arrangements, so how you will receive the funds and how those funds will be kind of shared through as they're collected in as customer money and then shared out to winning entries as comes out of the fund. In terms of how we're setting you up for success and the support you can expect, so we'll be looking at kind of running a number of other webinars and events throughout the entry period to really support you to put in the best quality entries. And if you do have any kind of questions or requests in terms of things that you'd find really useful, please do let us know, both in the chat, and also you can email us at waterinnovation@nesta.org.uk. We're looking to make sure that we can provide as much support in terms of those wider events. We'll also be reusing something we use within the IWC, which are kind of 15-minute one-to-one surgeries, which we will have available to sign up to at least a couple of those each week. So please do let us know if you'd like to sign up for a one-to-one surgery, and also if you can't get a slot, please do let us know and we can look at adding some additional one-to-one surgeries on as well. Right now, you can go and use the Find a Partner page on the website, which I do kind of highly encourage you to do so, particularly if you're new to the sector, to use that page to kind of find connections into water companies, but also for water companies to find kind of routes to speak to others as well. From the 6th of April, we will ensure that we publish an entrant handbook, which will have all of the information you need to prepare your entry into the challenge. And that will really be kind of a single source of truth, where you can go to it and be reassured that all of the information is there. You'll then be duplicating a lot of that content on the website, so it's kind of easier to navigate and to people who have different and alternative needs. And we'll be having another webinar as soon as we launch to kind of go through that content again. It's more for people who kind of want to understand and access information differently. If you do have any reasonable adjustments that you would need due to any personal requirements, please do let us know and we can look at how we can support any reasonable adjustments and support people to enter as well.